What's up, guys? Gun here. Happy Tuesday, August 18th, 2020. I hope you guys had a fun, eventful, profitable day one of NBA playoffs. It was a little bit chaotic. If you guys played on FanDuel and were impacted by the downtime to start the day, to start the slate, I feel for you. I knew a lot of people in the Discord that were having troubles with FanDuel, so hopefully FanDuel made you guys right, and you guys didn't lose any money yesterday, and hopefully you guys can move forward and win money today. It sucks that FanDuel's had issues like this twice in like the last 3 days. But what can you do? That's the nature of the beast. Yesterday was pretty eventful from a DFS standpoint. We saw a massive game out of Donovan Mitchell. We saw Kristaps Porzingis at nearly 50% ownership on FanDuel get ejected by a flimsy second technical that has a lot of people questioning the call. But playoff basketball be like that, right? If you played Al Horford on FanDuel, you weren't too happy. If you played Kemba, I guess he ended up in the winning lineup in my contest, but he was kind of a letdown. So there were some guys that kind of busted in spots that you expected them to do better, and there were some guys that crushed it. Fred VanVleet, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, guys that kind of stand out and lead the pack of names. Today, another 4-game slate. This one's going to be a little bit more star-studded, right? You got LeBron James, Damian Lillard, James Harden, Anthony Davis, a lot of big, heavy hitter, household name value. And I think it's going to spread out ownership amongst the big boys. It's going to make game theory and ownership leverage be a little bit tougher. I think a lot of that is really, really interesting over on DraftKings because FanDuel's a little bit softer. You can play a lot more people with a little less restrictions based on soft pricing. But nonetheless, decisions need to be made. In this video, I'm going to give you my favorite 5 plays, one player each position: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. And I try not to be that guy that comes at you and tells you, hey, you should play James Harden without Russell Westbrook today. Thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up. I'm going to be a little bit more creative in these picks here. Guys that I think are priced at a point where they should hit value and potentially exceed value. And guys that I will personally have a lot of ownership as it stands now. So I'm not going to give you the Lillards, the LeBrons, the ADs, and Giannis, as you guys know to play those guys. I'm going to get a little bit more creative and try and stick to the 8K or less range and maybe help you guys stir some creative juices. If you guys want to hang out with me before lock today, I'll be in that RunDFS.com VIP Discord. All you got to do is go to RunDFS.com, make yourself an account, get signed up for a week pass, and you'll get a link to the spreadsheets and the Discord. 2 hours before lock, we'll be in there chopping it up, talking some plays, make up some lineups for both sites. So we definitely invite you to be part of that. A lot of big winners, all different bankroll sizes. No matter what you play, if you're grinding quarter arcades, nickels, that's cool. If you're playing monsters and the lucky sevens or whatever, we got guys in there playing that too. So no matter what your bankroll level is, we're an all-inclusive sports-loving group, and we're grinding it all. I personally specialize in baseball, basketball, and pretty soon football. So go check that out, RunDFS.com. If you have any questions about that, Twitter.com/GundeckerSports. Let's jump right into it. Point guard position on FanDuel.com today. Could I interest you in some Markelle Fultz? Markelle Fultz is 5.5K on FanDuel. I'm looking for the north side of 30 fantasy points to feel like I got a good deal. A couple things Markelle Fultz has going for him right now, just off the top of my head. First of all, Aaron Gordon is a true game-time decision as of now. Has not had any contact practices since going down with this injury. So I think there's a good chance he doesn't play. That's going to open up minutes for guys like Wes Iwundu, James Ennis, maybe Kem Birch, guys that you don't expect to pick up a lot of the scoring. And I think Markelle Fultz has to pick up some of that responsibility. Fultz was confirmed to be the starter. So guys like Fultz and Evan Fournier will have a higher stress, higher responsibility to score. And this game script really favors the guards. First of all, Milwaukee's a 12-point favorite, which means the Magic likely play from behind, and they're going to have to take some more aggressive shots from downtown. One of the things that people look to immediately when Aaron Gordon's out is Nikola Vucevic. Vucevic is fine in and of himself in the vacuum. He's a big boy, right? He can shoot. But if you look at the points in the paint allowed chart in the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet, the Milwaukee Bucks allow the fewest points in the paint. Now, Vucevic can spread the floor a little bit. He'll shoot some mid-range jumpers, maybe get creative from behind the arc. But to say the least, this should at least suppress some of his gameplay style, and the game script itself, fast paced and playing from behind, should more so benefit guys like Fultz. I also think it's going to be an uptick for Terrence Ross, right? More scoring responsibility, more catch-up basketball. But Markelle Fultz at 55 on FanDuel, I think I can get there on him. I love him on DraftKings. And one thing I do like about Fultz, his assist rate's pretty high per minute. We saw 16 points, 10 assists against Boston, a couple rebounds. He's out there scrapping. There should be rebounds to be had in a fast-paced kind of track meet type of game. So I think in tournaments, I think he's pretty fun for me because I think a lot of people might be a little skittish here. But it sounds like we shouldn't have minute restrictions. And if you're getting 35 minutes potentially of an inspired young kid like Markelle Fultz, I like taking my chances here. So Markelle Fultz is going to be the point guard that I'm looking at early on to kind of build a foundation on. And I think he's cheap enough to save me some pennies to go up there and get those Hardens and Dames and guys like that. As shooting guard, how about Jimmy Butler? He's under 8K. He kind of makes the cut, right? You can make a case for CJ McCollum. He's cheaper. He's going to play 40 minutes. Does have a broke back. He's more expensive than Chris Middleton, who at 7K I think is a fine option. I think he should play deep minutes. SGA at under 7K against the Rockets. Fast pace. Then you start flirting with guys like Depot and Dennis Schroeder. Schroeder, I feel like I wish was a little bit cheaper to feel like I'm getting a good deal. But for now, I think Jimmy Butler at 7.8K is going to get lost in the sauce, man. People are going to jam in James Harden the first thing they do. And then you're not going to have a whole lot of room for an 8K Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is going to be likely Jimmy minutes, right? Might see 35 to 38 minutes, something that we saw from him often in important Philly games or regular season Tom Thibodeau Chicago Bull games. I think you add that with the fact that, he's got a little beef going on with TJ Warren. He definitely would love to send TJ Warren home. 28 minutes against the Pacers just a couple games back. Double-double, dropped 52.7 fantasy points on FanDuel in just 28 minutes. Likely gets another 10 minutes today should this game stay competitive. I don't see many ranges of outcomes for Jimmy Butler to get me less than 40 fantasy points on FanDuel. And I definitely think there's a ceiling of 50+, maybe even 60 if Jimmy just straight up takes over. So I love Jimmy Butler. I'll try and have him be one of my highest owned shooting guards. I don't think I'll have more Jimmy Butler than James Harden. But like I said, I didn't want to be that guy that comes and tells you to play James Harden without Russell Westbrook in a playoff game. So bear with me on that one, right? At least I'm small forward, who we got? How about Eric Gordon, right? I didn't give you James Harden, but maybe Eric Gordon's a little bit too cheap. He's 4,500 on FanDuel. He is going to be more scoring dependent than not. This is a game where they're probably going to look to him to score. James Harden's going to have to use guys like Daniel House, PJ Tucker, Robert Covington, and then Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon clearly the second option when it comes to scoring basketball points there. I hate that he's going to be extremely scoring dependent, but there's certainly a range of outcomes where 20+ real points for Eric Gordon is a thing, and he'll fall into enough peripherals at 4,500 to get me 25 to 35 fantasy points. It's a playoff game. We should get deep minutes from him. Would not be surprised if we got a lackluster letdown game, but I think all the check marks in the check boxes line up for him to make a lot of sense today. And at 4,500, he doesn't have to do a whole lot to get me to 25 to 35. So Eric Gordon, small forward option for me as a core option. At power forward, Bam Adebayo, again under 8K. It's easy to sit here and tell you Anthony Davis might not get he's not going to get Zach Collins. Collins is out. So he's going to get happy Wenyen Gabriel, who fouled out against him earlier. He might get some Carmelo defense. He might get some Whiteside defense. A great spot for Anthony Davis. You know that. I know that. How about we look at Bam Adebayo, though? 7.5K. That Pacers front court has been a juicy matchup for opposing bigs from a fantasy perspective. 22 minutes against the Pacers a couple games back, 33.8. That 22 minutes easily becomes 35 minutes in a competitive, meaningful game. I think 7,500 leaves a lot of meat on the bone. I think he has potential for 40, 50 fantasy points here. The Pacers are a pretty undersized team, lots of block potential. And on FanDuel, that's going to add up. You see 3 blocks against Indiana in just 22 minutes the other day. Could extra minutes turn that into 4 or 5 blocks? If you get 5 blocks, that's 15 fantasy points off of blocks alone. And he's not immune to stealing the basketball as well. So I definitely like Adebayo as a mid-tier option that maybe goes a little bit under-owned because Anthony Davis will be jammed in. It gets really ugly below Adebayo, so maybe he's not going to be like a secret. But I think at this point, points per dollar from a floor to ceiling ratio at his price, I think Adebayo is making the cut there. All right, center, let's get a little creative. Yusuf Nurkic is fun, right? 8.4K, but he's in a tough matchup. The Los Angeles Lakers, if we go to that points in the paint chart in the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet, they've allowed a bottom 5 amount of points in the paint. If we go to the team DVP chart, the Lakers have allowed the fewest fantasy points per game to opposing centers. Tough spot for him to feel warm and fuzzy. This isn't the Grizzlies. This isn't the Nets. This isn't teams like that. This is LeBron James in the postseason. This is Anthony Davis. This is what the Lakers went out there and built this team for. So I think they come and they play inspired in 8,400. I don't hate playing Nurkic for the minutes, but Nurkic does have a range of outcomes where he gets into foul trouble, and it's just not like a super plus spot to begin with. So I'm not there on Nurkic. I've already kind of told you why Vucevic is not making me warm and fuzzy either, right? Tough matchup interior-wise, and it's going to be a spot that probably pressures the guards to start chucking threes a little bit more. How about Brook Lopez? I know a lot of people are going to run straight to Steven Adams at 5,400 too, but he doesn't have a great history fantasy-wise and minute-wise against the Rockets. Rockets tend to run centers off the court. How about Brook Lopez? Kelly Olynyk makes a little bit of sense. Wouldn't be surprising if he starts. 4,200, could he get 25, 30 fantasy points? I do think that's a range of outcomes, but how about Brook Lopez? Brook Lopez is there. 5,800 feels a little bit tough. Brook Lopez may be another one of those veterans like a Chris Paul that is known for playing 25, 28 minutes of regular season basketball. A lot of the Bucks games end up being blowouts anyway. So how about a playoff game where you kind of keep your starters in there, keep the foot on the throats of your opponents, even though this is a projected blowout? Could Brook Lopez play 30 minutes, 30-plus minutes? And if Brook Lopez at 5,800 is playing 30-plus minutes, I like his shot at giving me 35 to 45 fantasy points. And one thing that's really, really underrated about Brook Lopez is his propensity to block shots. Look at these block game logs. 1 block, 2, 6 blocks against the Boston Celtics. So I definitely think there's a range of outcomes for me where Brook Lopez is a fine stocking stuffer. If I don't love the guys up top, could Brook Lopez just hit value for me so I don't feel like I'm overpaying for a floor from a Nurkic or a Vucevic? And I think Brook Lopez, his scoring system on FanDuel is even that much more generous. Do we have the Orlando game in here? 31 minutes against Orlando earlier this season, 31.7 a DKP, 23 real points. How about Brook Lopez? I like me some Brook Lopez. So those are the 5 names I'm walking away with as of now. Things could change between now and lock. Markelle Fultz, Jimmy Butler, Eric Gordon, Bam Adebayo, and Brook Lopez. But that's where I'm at for now on FanDuel. Hopefully these guys kind of stirred some thoughts for you. Let me know what you think. Who are guys you absolutely have to have? I don't need 5 guys from you, but who are 3 guys you're absolutely not going into a contest without in your lineup today? It's okay to say James Harden. I'm going to be there on James Harden as well. I'm really curious to see where the fill is at on Damian Lillard. Otherwise, I'm going to get out of here for this video. I'll be in that RunDFS.com VIP Discord all day. If you got anything for me, Twitter.com/GundeckerSports. I love each and every one of you. I hope you all win a bunch of money today. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money. But for real, how about Brook Lopez?